Welcome to our video series featuring the PFAFF Creative Icon 2 sewing and embroidery machine. This video will be focusing on projection in embroidery mode. Please check out the other videos that are available, and also don't forget that there are over 100 tutorials that you can access right from the screen on your PFAFF Creative Icon 2. Those can be found in the Help Center. As I said, this video will focus on projection in Embroidery Edit. You can use the projector to help you position a design in a specific spot on your fabric, for instance, over a pocket or lining up to another design that you have already stitched out. That is especially helpful if you are designing a large design that will need multiple hoopings. For example, on this shirt, I wanted this design to be above the pocket, but obviously not stitch my pocket closed. So I needed to make sure that the design was not going to be on my pocket, but be positioned very carefully above the pocket. On the other side, I have a quite large design that is just kind of a free-formed design. This is just a design that I created myself on the screen, and it required multiple hoopings in order to go all the way down. So nothing had to match super precisely, but it did need to line up together nicely and smoothly with the designs that were already stitched out. So let's take a look at it in embroidery mode. If you can see my screen, I am in Embroidery Edit screen, and I have chosen the 120 by 120 hoop. I'm going to bring in a design. So I am going to go into my signature designs, and I'm going to choose design number 7. Now, what I want to do is I want to put that design on my striped fabric. And as you can see, I didn't hoop it very straight. So I know that I want it to lay inside one of my stripes. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate it now, just because I think it'll be a little bit easier to rotate that right now. And I may need to rotate that a little bit more when I actually place it on my fabric, depending on how it lays in my stripe. So the first thing we need to do now is turn our projection on. So that is our little icon up here. It looks like a projected light. So we can turn that on here. And I need to touch on so that on is highlighted. And when I turned it on, we do get the message to attach our hoop. Now I know that typically we don't attach our hoop until we go into embroidery stitch out mode. But in order to project our design onto our hooped fabric for placement, we do need to attach our hoop now. So I'll simply touch OK. And now let's take a look at the other options that we have. The first is the brightness. You have 3 options for the brightness. I typically put mine all the way up. And then you also have background color. I leave mine where it defaults to. It's really just a setting in the projector. It's not projecting an actual color onto your background. You're also going to notice a little humming sound, and that is just indicating that your projector is on. When it's on, it does make that little humming sound, so it's nothing to worry about. You should hear it. And then the next thing we have that you might have noticed is down towards the bottom of the screen, we have one that popped up that says Move Hoop. So let me explain that one a little bit. The projection area of your design is about 2 inches in front of your needle and about 4 inches wide. So depending on what size hoop you have on there, you have a lot of area to move around in to determine where you want to project that design. Where do you want to place it on your fabric? So really what you have to do is you have to get your needle positioned behind where you want it projected, because that projection is going to come in front of your needle. So you're going to have to move your hoop to get your design where you want it to be. So if I use the down arrow, and it takes a minute to catch up, you'll see your little cursor move on the screen. Don't worry so much about that. I tend to watch my fabric more, and I want to get that design positioned in the hoop where I want it. And as I'm moving my hoop, like I said, it takes a few seconds to catch up, but you move your hoop, and then that design kind of moves in your hoop so that you can see where you've placed it. Okay? All right, so now you can see the design projecting on my fabric. And now I'm just going to move the design on my screen with my finger and see how it moves it. And now I can visually see and place that design right where I want it on my fabric. Isn't that awesome? Okay, now let's take a look at a little bit bigger design. I have changed my hoop to the 240 by 150 grand metal hoop. And I have a dish towel hooped that you'll see in just a minute, and I want to put this cupcake design on it. This cupcake design is a little bit bigger, and I'm not going to be able to see the entire cupcake. So when I talked about your projection area a few minutes ago, and I said you have about 2 inches in front of your needle and about 4 inches wide, this little crosshair that you see on the screen, that is the needle position. That is where your needle is right now. So in order for me to move my design down some on my screen and still see the projection, I need to move my hoop so that my needle position is down a little bit closer to the bottom of my hoop. Otherwise, I'm not going to see enough of my projection to place it where I want to. I'm going to switch over here to my fabric for a second. Now if you look at my fabric, I have a dish towel in here, and it has a border design along the bottom. So I want to place that cupcake so it just sits above that line. I'm not sure if you can tell on screen or not. I did press in a crease. That's the center of my towel. So I need that cupcake to sit centered on this line and sitting kind of on that little blue line there. As you can see, I'm not even seeing the bottom of my cupcake, so I can't really, with the view that I have right now, position that where I want on this line. Because my projection is about 2 inches in front of my needle, I need to move my needle down closer to the bottom of my fabric so that I can see the bottom of that liner. So let me just move my hoop here. There we go. So now we can see the bottom part of the cupcake. Now I'm not seeing the whole top. That's okay, because that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about getting the bottom above that line. So now again, I can just move my design on the screen like we did earlier and get that so it's placed right there above the line where I want it. Don't you love it? And remember, you have another form of positioning designs very precisely with your precise positioning program. We also have a video in the file on precise positioning. So sometimes that's the program that's going to work better for you. Sometimes the projection in Embroidery Edit is going to work better for you. It's just going to depend on your preference and what you're doing. Sometimes you might even want to use both programs.